Hello, and welcome to the results of my recent marriage survey. It was a survey that I put together. It was a pretty short survey, but I was trying to gather the ideas that some Black women had about marriage. I'm Michelle Renee Wright, and I am the owner operator of The Right Side, and we are a dispute resolution and life strategy development service. We provide that service, and we teach people to communicate in relationships for more positive outcomes. I work more in romantic relationships, but very often, because romantic relationships tend to be the ones that drive us the most crazy. I work with those relationships, knowing that the skills that you learn to communicate within a romantic relationship will serve you well in any other relationship, in a coworker, family relationships, just teammates, anyone that you have to deal with and work with. So again, the reason for the survey is because I was reading an article and it said that 71% of Black women in 2009, from the 2010 survey, so it was the people from the women surveyed from 2009, 71% of Black women are unmarried, never married, 71%. And I thought that was a really high number. And I know there are a lot of factors that contribute to the reasons of the lack of marriage of Black women, but I think that some of the issues now are they're starting to make me think that it's because of the attitudes that we have towards marriage. So I wanted to ask some questions to see where some people were. So what I did is I put out a survey and I asked women of color and Black women to take the surveys, and just 10 questions about marriage. And two of the questions didn't pertain to everyone, and you could skip those questions. So I'm just going to give you my opinion on those surveys. So the first question was, what was your current status? And as you can see, the highest percentage of people who responded were married women 10 years or more. So that was almost half of the people who took the survey. That could be because of the people who I am friends with, because, I am married 10 plus years. Could be, I don't know how we got this breakup, but this is what it is. And in hindsight, I wish I had said more than 10 years, less than 10 years. But, I feel like less than 2 years is still a new marriage, and 10 years plus is a seasoned marriage. So I kind of wanted to know some of their thoughts and opinions on marriage. The second question was the age group. So we're looking at women who are over 40 in this group, the majority. As you can see, there was a slide for 22 and under, and there was no one responded who was 22 and older. So it was mostly women who were 40 plus. So I asked the question, as a child, were you encouraged to marry young or discouraged to marry young, or was it never really discussed? And the discouraged, encouraged was second, and it was so small in the pie that discouraged didn't even show up. So for a lot of people, marriage was never discussed. And when I used to watch movies growing up, you would see, the little girls, honestly, they were little white girls, but the little girls were like imagining their prince and imagining, getting married and having the fake veils and all those kind of things. And the fact that it's never really discussed is interesting to me, because I'm pretty confident that many people talk about education. They really drive home education and independence. So all I'm suggesting is that we also include, potentially partner with people. Economically, it is more advantageous to be partnered with someone, whether both parties work or not. Usually in this day and age, both parties work, but just to discuss what it's like to have to do this on your own, if you're partnered with someone, if you're in a committed relationship. So I think that conversation is worth having in a household, the same way you talk about education, because the fact of the matter is you can be married and get a advanced education. So when I asked those people, those women, and if you remember that most of the women in the survey were married, Most of them were married 10 years or plus. Who responded? So I know doesn't represent the whole population, but most of the women who responded were married 10 years plus. But half of them have friends that were never married. And I know this is kind of equal to married and never married. But if you're looking at it, in that way, not even divorced, like you would think the divorce rate would be so high because marriages are challenging and things don't work out. But of the women who completed the survey, very few of them have divorced friends. Most of them are never married or married. And that 50% is I just think that's pretty high, but it goes along with the statistics of the census. And I know there was another census in after that one, but I don't have the data for that one yet. And the question, and this one is pretty even. This one is pretty even, but again, with the population that answered, the demographic of the population, that do you believe it's important for women to marry? And only 55% said yes. I just found that to be interesting because I personally do believe that it is important for women to marry, but it's not a failure if they don't, because women aren't the only ones who can decide to be married. But I think that it serves them better to be married. So I think it's something to work towards. Not, earlier on in life, the later in life you wait, the more difficult, the more challenging it becomes to be married. I didn't mention this, so I'll mention it now that I am married, and I've been married 13 years, and this is my second marriage. My first marriage, although it lasted 18 years, I probably was only connected to him for 2 of those 18 years. So again, this is my second marriage, and I've been married 13 years. So the reason I asked this question, and there's no way of knowing, and there's no perfect answer, because, of course, it could be anyone. It could be any side of anyone who could be responsible for the divorce. But I just wanted to see the perception of people, whether or not they, blame the men. Most of these women are married, so they blame the men. They just see the men as being the problem in the marriage. And even though these numbers are not that far off to be significant, I just thought it was interesting. I just heard a stat today from someone. Geez, I hate to quote it without remembering it, but it's like, I want to say like 68% of divorces are initiated by wives, and something. Oh, I hate to even say it, but I'm going to, maybe I'll look further into that. But I just was interested if people from the outside, because unless you're inside the marriage, you really don't know what caused it. You just know what you hear or what you're told. But people think that, men are causing it more, but women file more divorces. So I guess if you're talking responsibility, I guess I can see where somebody would say that. All right. So, and now this one is, again, this one kind of falls kind of even, but since this was a survey of women, I still think it was interesting that 45% of women think that women are more physically aggressive in relationships. And I have to say that I also believe that. I believe that we, unfortunately, as women, have so much frustration built up, and we have so much going on with us that we have not dealt with, that sometimes it does resort to violence. And I know that and violence at home probably is more men. It probably is more men. Actually, I just saw someone shared a statistic with me, and I don't remember where the statistic came from, but violence does occur more at home with men, but public. And if you sit and you think for just a moment, how many times do you sit, when you see violence in public, is it more often a woman being aggressive, or is it more often the man being aggressive? So we can only go on what we see. But at home, I don't know if it's a safety issue for women. I don't know. But I thought it was interesting. In a women's survey, there's still 45% of the women that believe that women are more physically aggressive. And again, I understand. I understand where it could be coming from. I understand what could create it, because I also was a physically aggressive, a violent woman in a relationship. I was violent in a relationship because I had to make somebody hurt the way that I was hurt. And it wasn't about power and control for me, like sometimes it is for men. But it wasn't about power and control. It was, I am hurting and somebody else needs to hurt too. But now that I'm learning that there's other ways to deal with my hurt, I'm still hurting. I still have pain, and I still have things that I'm dealing with. But anyway, so that was that slide. And in this one, do you believe marriage prep courses would decrease divorce rates? And significant amount of people say yes. And that goes to show that there are things that these women, the majority of these women, believe that can be learned. And we're not speaking just of cleaning and cooking or things that we see traditionally as a wife's role, but there's other emotional supports and there's other kind of ways to be a good spouse, a good wife to a husband. And I know I feel that people are just wanting to come through the computer and just stab me with that, but there are other ways. It has nothing to do with cooking. It has nothing to do with cleaning. Those things are good, but those roles right today, they're pretty shared roles, but it's about being the emotional support, and it's about other things other than that, and to be prepared in that marriage. Being prepared before you get into that marriage, it would decrease the divorce rate. Not just marriage prep for women, for everybody, for men and women. But I believe that it can give a better understanding to women what marriage will be when they get into it. Because of course, there's no guarantees. If you are currently married, were you adequately prepared? And you can see right there, some people said, 21.8% said yes. The significant, most of the people said no, they were not. And sometimes that depends on your age, whether or not that, because when you have developed things in your life and you've established routines and you have habits and you have, all these things that you put in place, and then you bring someone else into the mix, it becomes, how do we join these two things together? Because I already have a system that's working pretty great for me. So we should do my system, right? No. Because it's a learning of how to be, how to dial it back some, and how to submit to the marriage and submit to the connection, and not be in a place where you want to win. Because of course we have a better way to make rice, but it doesn't mean it's the only way to make rice. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying. So I thought that was interesting, and I'm glad to see that they're married people who are currently married feel that they could have been better prepared for their marriage. And not everyone answered this. People were allowed to skip this question because obviously if they're not currently married, they didn't have to answer this question. And now, if you're currently divorced, could counseling have saved your marriage? And this one's pretty even, even though there's a slight edge to yes, it's pretty even. And I don't know the circumstances behind people's individual divorces. There could have been violence. There could have been some things very terrible going on that could not have been overcome by counseling. But I love to see that 54% of divorced women think, it's a possibility. And I don't know if that says that maybe that there are things about themselves that after they were divorced that they learned about themselves that had they known it before could have saved their marriage. Because to say counseling could have saved the marriage, I would think that you find something inside of yourself that could have done that. Okay, so and that's question number 10, and that's pretty much the last question. I don't know, and I have topics like this in what I call the conversation. I don't even know if I properly introduced myself, so let me try it again. I'm Michelle Renee. I'm Michelle Renee Wright, and I am the owner-operator, which you'll see in a later slide. But I am a life coach. I'm a certified life coach. I'm a trained mediator, and I have a dispute resolution anger management training. And so I have these topics that I share with people, and I invite them to come in on a conversation. We spoke about whether or not if women made more money, it's kind of trending topics. So we were speaking about if women made more money, what should they support a man, an able-bodied man? And we've talked about the violence, physical violence between men and women. If a woman is physically violent toward a man, is it an outside man's responsibility to come and protect the woman if she's the aggressor. I mean, just topics that deal with relationships, deal with women's side of the relationship, things that women could do to improve themselves in relationships. I know that there's a lot of topics, there's a lot of things going on right now, that a lot of men empowerment and things like that. But I think that, we can empower women too, but part of our empowerment is, accountability. It's being accountability for our portion of the dispute, our contribution to the dispute. And although you may not have had the ill behavior or the wrong behavior, sometimes it's our reaction that fuels it and makes it less healthy and less possible to recover from. So if we always blame the other person in a dispute, we never grow. We have to try to look for some things that we could have done better so we can grow and be prepared for the next relationship. So here we go. This is my website. You can scan it. You can type it in. I'm trying to be newfangled and modern and technologically savvy. So here is my QR code, and you can scan that and go straight to my website. You can get updated on new conversations and things like that. And I would love for you to learn more about me and learn more about what I do, and bring, share the word with people who are either in a relationship that's struggling, or if they're marriage minded and want to become married or want to be married, but they may benefit from talking to someone beforehand. Even the married people in the group in this survey said they could benefit from some marriage prep, and most of them are married. So just wanted to share that. This is me. This is me. This is me. This is me. I am the owner of The Right Side. I am Michelle Renee Wright. And here are some ways that you can support me and learn more about me and get information about what I'm doing. Freeze the screen and get what you need. I want to thank all the beautiful women that completed the survey. I truly appreciate your support. You made the difference. The information you gave makes me want to expand the survey more and try to get it to more people. I appreciate you and I thank you, and I hope you are able to access this survey and this video and this information that I'm sharing. So with that being said, I ask that you subscribe to my page and look at some of my other videos and topics. I'm still new to this, so my videos aren't pretty and they're not very well, what's that called? Edited, but it is what it is. I have something to say and I think there's some value in it, and I would love to share it with you. If you would like to talk about this, if you would like to talk about this survey, what you disagree with, what you agree with, what you would like to expound on or talk about, share your thoughts and opinion, I would love it. And if enough of you guys do it, we can do it in a Zoom meeting. Otherwise, leave a comment here and I'll get back to you and we can have a conversation one-on-one. So until then, I appreciate you. I love my Black women. People say I'm anti-woman. Nothing could be further from the truth. I love Black women. I love my sisters, my women of color. I love them. My son taught me a word today. I'm mad I can't remember it. It's whatever the meaning of the word is. It means that women who try to act like they're on the man's side to endear themselves to men or seem like whatever. That's not me. I'm 100% woman, woman, woman. I don't speak about men's issue because that's for men to speak with men about. That's for them to handle on their side. But for women, there's things that we could do. We can do better. We can learn more. We can share more. We could talk to, the young people. They may not listen right now, but you may plant a seed that grows later. You could talk to the young women about the benefits of being married, the benefits of education, the benefit of having a partner. So, again, I hope to hear from you. Please like and subscribe to my page. Please visit my Facebook website. Follow me on Instagram. And I thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day.